So you just won $1 billion in the lottery and you're like, you want to get a new car, Volvo EX90 or Volvo XC90. You can't decide, so you just get one of each and you live the rest of your days in happiness. But for everybody else who isn't a billionaire, we have to choose. We can't get one of each because each on their own is a very expensive car. So hopefully in today's video, I'm gonna help all of you non-billionaires to decide what car to get, the Volvo EX90 or the Volvo XC90. The first determining factor is how soon can you get a car? Well, the Volvo XC90 came out on the market like 8 years ago, so there are plenty of used cars, there are plenty of brand new cars at dealerships across the world, and even if you want to, you can spec one, order one, and you'll have one probably in about 2 to 3 months. The Volvo EX90 is a different story. So this car was revealed and released to the world last November. I ordered one the day after the car came out, and my estimated delivery is Q2 2024, but the EX90 is now delayed. So if I'm lucky, I'm gonna get a car by the end of 2024. So if you need a car right now, if you need a car in 6 months, maybe you have 2 kids on the way, your wife or your spouse is pregnant with twins, and you're like, I need a car soon, there's only one choice, the Volvo XC90. But okay, let's say you can wait. You don't need a car now, you don't need one in 6 months, maybe you have another car. You don't have to replace now. You can wait until the end of next year, maybe even early 2025. The next determining thing is the price. So different pricing, different places around the world. I'm going to try to include the most, relevant prices for my viewers: Norwegian kroners, US dollars, euros, and also British pounds, which are where most of you guys watching these videos are from. And there's no two ways around it. The Volvo EX90 is about, 10 to 20-30% more expensive than the XC90 in most markets except for Norway. Here, the EX90, because we don't have taxes, we don't have VAT or full taxes or full VAT on electric cars as we have on non-electric cars, the Volvo XC90 is actually about 120,000 kroner-ish more expensive than the EX90. But in most markets, if you have a budget, if you don't want to spend, that big buck, that big dollar, that high asking price for an EX90, but you still want a large 7-seat luxury SUV, the Volvo XC90 is going to be plenty car for you. But let's say you don't care about price, or both of these cars are within your budget, or maybe you live in Norway and the EX90 is actually cheaper than the XC90. Whatever it is, both of these cars are within your price range. The next big thing to consider is that the Volvo EX90 is actually a fully electric vehicle. And just, for housekeeping's sake, the Volvo XC90 is the T8 hybrid we are comparing here. We're not going for, the B6 or the B5 petrol or gasoline version, because that actually isn't available in most markets. The T8 hybrid is available in most markets. And of course, since we're comparing an electric car, it's more natural to compare that to a hybrid. So, again, depending on your use case, depending on what you want, again, if you live here in Norway, driving an electric car isn't going to be nearly as big as an inconvenience. It may be in other markets where they don't have the charging infrastructure. Actually, we have so many chargers here in the Nordic countries that, well, driving an electric car basically is super simple. And that brings me to today's video sponsor, Recharge, which is the largest charge point operator in the Nordic countries with 4,000 charging points across Norway, Sweden, and Finland. So if you live in any of these countries, buying an XC90, well, doesn't give you that much of an advantage over an electric EX90 because of all our chargers across all of these countries. I mean, 4,000 charging points. That's a huge amount of chargers. So if you want to find out where your closest Recharge charger is, just go to the link in the description box down below. They've been upgrading, updating, and also building a lot of new charging stations lately. So if you're still watching the video this far, then you're not too determined on electric versus hybrid. You're a little bit flexible, you're not sure which one you want yet, and maybe you just don't care. Maybe you're like, either one of these work, but if you want the pure electric car, well, the Volvo EX90 is the car for you. You don't have to stop watching the video. I really do appreciate if you continue watching the video, but you may be interested in, well, okay, performance then. Performance. So the base twin motor EX90 has 408 horsepower and does 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 5.9 seconds, which sounds quite fast, and it is to be a large SUV. But then you have the Volvo XC90 T8 Recharge, which has dual motors. So you have an electric motor on the rear axle, and then you have an internal combustion engine on the front axle. Combined 455 horsepower, and that does 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 5.4 seconds, a full half second faster than that twin motor EX90. But if you can spend a little bit more money, there's actually a performance version of that EX90 which bumps power up to 517 horsepower, and 0 to 100 kilometers an hour drops from 5.9 to 4.9 seconds, and that is quick by any stretch of, well, measurement when it comes to a large SUV. Okay, but you're like, fine, Chris, you know, performance 5.9, 4.9, 5.4, doesn't matter, they're all quick enough for me. You know, I don't need the fastest car on the planet, plenty performance for me. And I totally get that, and I totally actually agree. So you're like, so let's take a look at the exterior styling and dimensions. So the XC90 came out, well, it was actually shown to the world in 2014, and it came to market in 2015. So this design is almost 10 years old, but with the facelift that came out in 2020, the updates that have been done to this car throughout the years, it's still a very modern, stylish, and classy SUV. I actually think it is the design from Volvo with their new design language that came in 2015, which has aged the best. It's a really nice looking car, and I see new XC90s every day, and I look at them and I'm like, yeah, that is a real nice classy design that's still gonna look fresh, modern, and stylish moving forward. But then we have the EX90, which is, to be honest, a beautiful, beautiful car. I was lucky to get to film one, you know, a few weeks ago. Link to that video in the description box down below. And I have to say, as much as I love the Volvo XC90, and I've actually had two of them, I had one in 2016 and I had one in 2018. So I've had a T8 hybrid, but the version before with only 408 horsepower. I love that car. One of the best looking SUVs in my opinion, if not the best looking in that class of vehicle. But with that being said, I think that EX90 just, you know, elevates the styling more. It moves it more upmarket, more like Range Rover, and I just love the styling. It is also a little bit of a bigger vehicle, which is going to help with our next point, which is interior. So the interior of the XC90 was praised by the international car media, car journalists everywhere when that came out, because that interior was and is still one of the best interiors in any car at any price point. You know, at the time I was looking at BMW X5s, Mercedes MLs or GLEs, which they are now called, Audi Q7, and then I saw the Volvo XC90 and I'm like, sold. I don't care if the German cars technically drive better, are a little bit more sophisticated when it comes to powertrains and suspension, and maybe even a little bit better to drive dynamically. Doesn't matter, because the XC90 had, well, the exterior styling, which we talked about, but the interior just blows all the Germans out of the water. I mean, even Jeremy Clarkson called it the best interior this side of a Rolls Royce. And that is true. I mean, the interior is such a good interior at that price point. Yes, it may not look as fresh as when it came out. You know, the central screen, which has been updated to, you know, include Android Automotive, which is a very good infotainment system. The screen being 9 inches is kind of on the small side, but if you can live with that, you're gonna get a high quality, nicely built, very luxurious interior. The EX90, on the other hand, is kind of an evolution, but maybe not upmarket in the sense a lot of people were hoping for. And maybe the interior is still a nice interior. I love the modern design and styling. Again, you know, I've seen this car in person, and quality isn't as high. There aren't as many options when it comes to, you know, trim and interior. And I think this is a little bit of a missed opportunity when it comes to the EX90. Give us more trim options, give us, you know, more fabrics or full leather options to just make the car a little bit more special, like you can do with other luxury cars. Yes, it has the newest tech. It has, you know, a 14.5-inch infotainment system screen that's going to be the newest from Android Automotive, and, you know, all the new driver features. But with that being said, I think quality-wise and styling-wise, I prefer the old interior. So if you're still here at the very end of the video, you want to know my conclusion, and if you are here, thank you so much for watching this far, and please be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you're liking the video, and also consider subscribing to the channel. I do electric car stuff here on the channel. I do a lot of range tests, you know, simulating long trips and reviews on electric cars, and also these comparison videos, which you guys seem to like. But okay, enough about that. So, I mean, this is kind of a hard one because one of the cars is available now. You can even go out and buy, you know, a used one or a almost brand new one. And there are probably a lot of brand new cars available just to drive home with today if you go to a dealer or if you can wait a few weeks. The EX90 is so far into the future that it isn't a real alternative for a lot of people. But like me, I haven't actually had a Volvo XC90 since like 2020, because since I've had several of them, I wanted to try new cars. But I've always said that once the Volvo XC90 comes as a fully electric car, I'm going to order one. And they kind of did like a switcheroo because it's called the EX90, but it's still, you know, the replacement for the car, even though they're going to build both of these cars side by side for a few years coming now. And well, a man of my word, I ordered one the day after the launch. So for me, since I've experienced not one but two Volvo XC90s, it's not as exciting for me, and I don't need one. I don't have a large family. I don't need a large SUV in my day-to-day life. I just want one. So for me, waiting a year or two for that EX90, hopefully just a year, doesn't really matter. And if you can wait and you want that brand new electric car, it's going to be worth the wait. But if you don't have time to wait, if you don't want to wait, if you haven't owned a Volvo XC90, I would highly recommend you guys to just go out and get one, because it's a car, especially a luxury SUV, that I think most people should experience, because the interior is so nice, the exterior styling is so beautiful, it's a really good car to drive, best seats in the business. And even though both of these cars are 7 seats, the EX90 is a little bit bigger on the inside, a little bit more room in the third and second row, and also the trunk is a little bit bigger. But with that being said, the Volvo XC90 is still a very big car when it comes to the interior. So if you haven't experienced an XC90, if you have an old one, you want to replace one, and you can like wait a few years before replacing your getting the fully electric EX90, just go ahead and get a Volvo XC90. So guys, let me know what you think down below. Do you own an XC90? Are you looking to replace your XC90? Have you ordered an EX90? Let me know your story down below, as I have shared mine. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later, and goodbye.